Hey everyone, Mike here. We're going to tie up a dragonfly caddis, and these are a pretty good size. This is on a size 2 Gamakatsu B10S hook, and we use a material that I found and cut out on my Cameo craft cutter. Let me get it over here to where you can see it better. This right here, and this is what you'll end up with on the fly. Bottom view and top view, side view. And the thing is, it's not just this size here. I can also cut these, and I really was kind of surprised that I was able to do this, quite honestly, but I got them down to this size right here, which was on this fly. So you can actually make them quite small. So what we're going to do is get started, and we'll install our hook here. And then we're going to, I'm going to show you the material I use, which is Bonie cord. And I will put a tie wrap on one end, tighten it up, fuse this tip by heating it and melting it down to the tie wrap. That way, when you go to pull out, as you're brushing this out, you won't pull out material, and you end up with a really nice bunch of material that's been brushed out. It should look like this right here. Okay, so now to get started, what we're going to do is just put some thread on this hook. I use, this is just a black 3/0 thread. I wouldn't worry too much about closing in the gaps. Just get a base down, because this stuff is going to get all covered up here in a few minutes anyway. Go ahead and give it a cut. Thread that is the tag in. And then just continue down around to where you're about halfway around the bend of the hook, down to the, and in my case here, it's down to almost to the jaws of the vise. And then bring it back up. And the reason why you wasn't too worried about covering this up that direction is because you're coming back in this direction. And what you're going to want to do is build up a little bit of a body. This fly is kind of tied in reverse a little bit. And one of the other materials I use and will have available on my Etsy store is this chenille. It's a very fine, ultra thin chenille, and it's just used so I don't waste thread, and I can build up a little bit of a head right there in that area right there. Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and lay this down. I'm going to cut a piece off here. I don't think it has to be too long, about 6 inches. And then we'll lay it down and tie it in. Now we're going to go back. You might want to take your the piece that we're going to tie in here and lay it down so that the pinchers part, the front part, has the eye of the hook exposed. Let's see. Let's go like this. You're going to want to have the eye of the hook exposed. About like that. There we go. That's a better picture right there. About like that right there. And so we know that we want to come to about right here with this fill material, which is the chenille. Okay, that should be about right. Let me measure it off here again real quick so I can see that pinchers is, and it is, we're good. Okay, so now what we want to do is take our thread back to the front and wind on our material, touching wraps all the way to the front, and then start wrapping it back on top of itself, back towards the back again. And you're going to go just a little bit past this part right here so you can get a little bit of a taper in it. And then just take your thread and wind down on top of it, just like that. That gives you a pretty nice profile up in the front part there, right there, gives you a decent profile. And I'm going to go ahead and tie in our body with the legs. Oh, I'm going to bring the thread back forward again. Like I said, this is being tied in reverse. Typically, you tie your flies back here and go towards the head. This one, we're going to start at the head and go towards the tail and then back up to the head. Okay, so we're going to get that aligned so that our pinchers, so we can see the eye of the hook through the pinchers, and then just wrap. Times, get it set up, and make sure you try to keep the material right on top. Okay, and then we can go towards the back. Just like that. You weave your thread up through the between the legs there, and then continue on down towards the bend of the hook. Just like that. Pretty easy, actually. And you will really like the way this thing turns out. And I'll probably use this with an indicator or a large popper. Just use it as a dropper. That way, if I'm using it as a dropper, I can kind of keep the hook off the bottom of the the creek or wherever I'm fishing it. And then we're going to make our brush for the back part there for the case. We're going to do that with this this brush table here. And then on my brushed out Bonie cord that I've got, I'm going to measure about 1 inch, because we're going to be trimming this down, and cut it off just like that. And we'll pick it up, and we're going to kind of spread it out in our hand. Okay, get it about that far. Then we can take it, pull it off, and then start putting it on our table. And as you're building it up, you can spread it out a little bit more. Might want to compress it a little bit. Last piece here takes one full 6mm cord to make this, and then this makes the whole body all the way down. So we'll go ahead and lay this in, and I use this frother. It's a coffee frother for your creamers, and I've modified it so that you can spin your brushes. And I'll kind of go through it and even it out and spread it out a little bit more, because this is really a perfect length. And then that's all it takes. You want to brush this out as much as you can to get it down to the thread where the the fibers are kind of just locked in with the thread, and you see a nice, let's see if we can see it through here. Yeah, you can see a nice line down through there. You don't want it too thick. All right. And then I use hemostats, and I put silicone tubing on the ends to help prevent it from tearing my thread and breaking off on me. Okay, so go ahead and start wrapping it on. And want to, here, let me get back to this camera here. And then we'll just wrap the bad boy on here. Not really doing touching wraps because this is a lot of material. When I'm tying my streamers, I don't usually have the material this tight, but on this here, since we're going to be trimming it up to make a case for the caddis, the dragonfly caddis, we're going to have this thing a little bit tight. And let's see, you want to make sure you don't come over top of the legs of your body. Okay. And we will lock that in. Take our scissors, and we'll want to be careful not to cut our thread and the legs, so we want to grab the thread as best as possible, and then just, there we go. Got it. Okay. So now we can sure you're not capturing your legs as you tie this off right here. Okay, now we're going to start going back to the front again. And as we do, I'm going to just make a couple of wraps. Build a little bit of a body up on top of that material, the body material. And you got to be careful not to grab your legs. Grab your legs or your pinchers. There we go. That was pretty simple. And there you go. You got your emerging caddis, dragonfly caddis coming out there. And we're going to go ahead and tie this off, lock it in. And I use a makeup applicator or remover to keep the super glue from going all over my table, so I can load up the thread. And then from there I can take my whip finisher, careful not to grab them legs again. Okay, so I use curved scissors, which makes it easier to cut your tapers on this style of fly. And again, you're going to want to make sure that you don't grab your legs here. You might want to start in this direction and go down, see how that curves down towards the hook. It's like that. Makes a pretty nice taper there. And turn it, and then I kind of fan it out a little bit. Even as possible. Take your scissors. Don't get your legs, your body. Here. On the bottom side, you turn the scissors around, there's the curve. It's following the curve we're wanting to do on the back, on the belly side. Again, make sure you look and don't cut your legs. That'd be a good thing. Okay, what you can do when you get to this point is just kind of comb it out a little bit, and then you can kind of go in, and again, you got to be real careful to not cut your legs. This will make a very nice big morsel piece of bug insect. For me it's smallies, but I'm sure you can get brown trout to eat with these things, and probably even rainbows. I'm not a trout guy, so couldn't tell you. Okay, there's that. Go ahead and stick this puppy back up into the vise. Then I use a fingernail polish UV red. There it is. These real small bottles here. I have links to this, and I don't know if you can buy the UV red in single bottles. I actually bought a whole kit of these things. I think it was like $20 or something like that. Got a number of different colors there. That you could, instead of red, I could put blue on top or green or something like that. I mean, dragonflies have a lot of different colors. So, but anyway, we'll go ahead back here, and then what I use to put the dot on is these. You can buy these brushes, and they got these little foam tips on them. And I just pulled the tip off and end up with a really small ball on the end of this brush stem. And then I'll just grab me some UV red. This stuff is pretty awesome. You don't want too much. It's enough to put you a nice sized dot right between the two front legs. And let's go back to this camera here. Let's look something like that right there. And put you another smaller dot back here, right behind the first one. Legs furthest to the back. And then put maybe another little red dot on the front there. Okay. Then take my trusty little makeup applicator or remover. Clean the tip of that brush stem off. And then we can just go ahead and hit the UV red with your light. Just like that. That UV red sets up pretty nice, pretty fast. Then we just take some clear just to give the front more body. Because I'll just put a thin layer across the top. Just a lot of times I spin these things, but on this one, I'm just wanting to cover the top. And I'll flip it over just for a second to get it to flow down so it doesn't get spread out between my legs, and then go back up on top and hit it with my light. I don't know if it's true or not. I like this light because it's got a pulsating function on it, and I just kind of think that the shock of turning on and off really fast kind of helps shock that UV resin harder, faster. I could be wrong. I don't know. I think it works for me. So you can do it however you want to, because I'm not sure if there's a wrong way to do any of this stuff or not. Here we go. Or just down along the bottom, same thing. And rotate it so it flows down. Okay. And I'll bring it back up to the top here, and then I'll hit it with my light. Okay, there you go. That's pretty easy fly to tie, don't you think? I suppose you could trim this down even more, but I'm going to leave mine kind of fat to have a profile out there in the water that the smallmouth can focus on from a further distance. I'm not real sure if that's going to hold true or not, but I'll find out. I can always bring them back. I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of smallmouth fishing for probably the next 6 months anyway, 5 to 6. The only thing I might do is to kind of trim up the scragglers. There you go. That is that dragonfly caddis emerging from its shell, or whatever you call it, case. And my bet is that bad boy right there will catch some smallmouth this coming spring. Anyway, this is Mike. Until the next video, we'll catch you later.